Hi, welcome to my channel. So today I wanted to kind of talk about something that has deeply affected me in my life, and one of the reasons why I felt like the self-love video was so important and why it's been so important in my life. I have struggled with anxiety all of my life. I kind of want to talk about how it feels to have anxiety and what I do to cope with it. First, let me start with how it feels. So anxiety for me feels like I'm in prison. It feels like I am trapped inside myself and all I want to do is live a happy and normal and carefree life, and I can't because I'm stuck in my head so much, and no matter what I tried to do, I couldn't get out of my own head. And it's irrational for me. My fears that would happen really had no merit at all. It's just something that happened, and I would start getting shaky. I would start feeling like I couldn't breathe. My chest will tighten. I'll start getting hypochondriacal because I feel all these symptoms. So then I start feeling like something's really wrong. Then I get really lightheaded. Sometimes my vision will go kind of wonky and I will start to see spots, or my peripheral will start like strobing, and I struggle with getting out of that panicky moment. And it happens a lot. It used to happen a lot whenever I was stopped at stoplights, felt trapped in any situation. Even sitting down in a classroom always made me feel really anxious. Like I said, I've experienced this since I was a child, and when I was little, how it affected me was I was constantly petrified of being forgotten or getting lost. Those were big things for me. I would have nightmares about it constantly. Every day when it was pickup time and my parents were supposed to come pick me up, I would call them. I would go to the office and I would call them just to make sure that they didn't forget me. It sounds funny, and I think my parents didn't realize how serious it was until much later in my life. It would go through, it's like a roller coaster for me. So sometimes it's steady and it kind of subsides for a while, but then all of a sudden it rears up and it's so debilitating. It stops me in my tracks and I cannot function. Let me backtrack here. So after I've had my kids, I've noticed that I get postpartum anxiety really bad, where I guess maybe it's my hormone levels or something, but it completely makes my anxiety go out of control, and it's so difficult for me to handle. So one thing that I try to do is I try to stay present in the moment. I try sometimes, and this isn't always the best thing to do. I wouldn't recommend doing this all the time because then you're just numbing yourself. But what I would do sometimes is get busy. And when I distract myself and get really busy, then I don't have time to really think about it. But I want to say about a year ago, I started getting anxiety really bad. It was the worst that it had ever been. I felt trapped inside my own home. I felt like I couldn't go anywhere. I felt like I couldn't enjoy life. And I also felt like it was affecting the rest of my family. They weren't able to enjoy their life. My husband was struggling because he didn't know how to help me. He didn't know if he could help me, and he didn't understand. And those are really difficult things to handle in a relationship. It's so hard for somebody that doesn't have anxiety to understand how anxiety feels. A lot of people will say, well, just breathe, or there's nothing to be afraid of. And sometimes when people say there's nothing to be afraid of, it makes me feel worse about it, because it makes me feel like you think I'm just being silly, or it makes me feel like you think I'm a baby. Definitely try, if you have a loved one that does have anxiety, please try to look up what anxiety really is, how best to handle it, how best to help them through that moment, and ask your partner or friend what you can do to help in situations like that. Definitely do not, this is the worst thing you can do, especially in my case, is berate me about it, which would mean calling me a baby, saying there's nothing to be afraid of, or getting frustrated with me, because then it heightens my anxiety and I don't feel safe or comfortable in any situation with you, and then that sticks with me. So every time I have a panic attack around you, I feel like I don't know if I can trust you with it, and I feel like I can't be honest with you, so then I suffer in silence, and that's never good. That's a horrible place to be in, because then you feel so alone. And that's one of the worst things about anxiety, is it makes you feel isolated and completely alone. Like nobody else can possibly understand how you feel. But the good thing is that anxiety is so common, which is also a bad thing, but it means that there are so many people that do understand. So after this really, really bad episode where my vision started going completely crazy, I was in full panic and it wasn't subsiding at all. It did not go away and it was horrible. So I finally called my therapist, who I had seen a couple years back, but like I said, my anxiety goes through these roller coaster moments. So it had subsided for so long, so I had stopped seeing him. So I called my therapist up and I immediately scheduled an appointment and I started seeing him. That's one of the most important things that I have done for my anxiety. Talking to somebody that truly understands anxiety and somebody that helps me learn how to cope with it, how to deal with it. And for me personally, I am choosing not to do medication. It's not because I feel like there's anything wrong with medication. I completely understand if you need medication and that is how you get through life. That's 100% okay. As long as you're doing it underneath a doctor's orders, you're fine. There's nothing to be ashamed of for taking medication. Nothing. Mental health is so important. Whatever it is that you need to do that's healthy to help you is what you should do. But for me, medication, I've tried a bunch of different medications and it didn't really work for me. And the only other medications that are left for me to try are ones that make me very drowsy and make me feel completely out of it. So I decided that that's not the route that I want to go. Things that I have tried that my therapist has recommended is I do lavender oil. It's a roll-on. I put it on my wrist as soon as I start feeling really panicky, and I take a deep breath, and that really helps me. It's such a simple thing to do, but it really helps. But I like it because the scent does not stay on you forever. So if I get panicky throughout the day and I have to reapply, I'm not reapplying the same scent over and over and over again and overwhelming my senses with lavender or making somebody else have to deal with lavender scent constantly. The other thing that I do is I do meditations. That really helps me. I'm not as consistent with it as I wish I was, but one thing that has helped me be consistent, and this is not all the time, but there is a Deepak Chopra and Oprah meditation app, and they do a free 21-day meditation experience every once in a while, and those are so helpful. They're guided meditations. It starts off with Oprah kind of talking, and then Deepak comes in and says what he needs to say and gives you your chant and your mantra and basically guides you through your meditative experience. That has helped me so much. It helps me become more present. It helps me get out of myself, which sounds crazy because you're sitting in silence, so you would think you would be completely in your head, but it silences your brain. It helps you train your brain to calm and be at ease, and that helps so much. So the other thing that I do is I try to stay active. I try to exercise a little bit every day. I don't do CrossFit. I don't do anything too extreme for me, but I do exercise a little bit every day, and that has really helped me. I also try to get outside every day and get some fresh air and sunlight. That has helped me immensely. Another thing that has completely helped, and I didn't really think would help, is I take a multivitamin. So I am more of a plant-based type person, so I take a whole food supplement, and since I am breastfeeding still, it's a prenatal one. It's by Garden of Life Raw Prenatal, and it's whole foods based. I really, really, really enjoy it. It's not too big. It doesn't have a nasty flavor to it. If you are not comfortable taking pills, you can open up the capsule and sprinkle it in your shake or on your food, and that's another way that you can take it. So if you're not into taking pills, then that also helps. Also, I've heard that spirulina can help. All the vitamins that are in spirulina are really good for you. I've heard that you can add that to your smoothie and it can help your anxiety. But personally for me, I've been taking a multivitamin, a whole foods based multivitamin, and I have noticed a huge difference in my mood with that. And then another thing that I have done is this goes along with taking a multivitamin. I do consciously pay attention to what I put into my body. So I watch my diet. I try to eat more of a plant-based diet. I'm working on it. It's something that I have not perfected. It's a little difficult with me when I have a son and a husband that are not plant-based, so I have to kind of prepare 2 separate meals, so that's a little bit difficult. So sometimes I do more plant-based all throughout the day, and then at dinner time I indulge in whatever they're eating. But I notice a huge difference when I am eating more of a plant-based diet. For me, I know that that's not for everybody, but it has drastically improved my anxiety and mental state, and it makes me feel so light and so good. I've also noticed benefits with my skin, with my hair. I can do a whole nother video on what plant-based has done for me and why I chose to do it. I can do a whole nother video. If that's something you're interested in, please comment below and tell me. And then something else that I have done is I pray, and I've gotten closer with God. That's who I choose to believe is my higher power. I am spiritual, and so I read a lot of books, spiritual books. I do Bible studies, and I pray. Those are things that have connected me more with God and have helped me immensely in maintaining a more calm, peaceful mindset, and that it has helped so much. There's so much more that I can say about anxiety. There's so much more. I know that I sound really light and airy about this subject, but it's not light and airy. It's horribly, horribly crippling sometimes, and it can lead into depression. I know that there have been days where I felt like that I can't go on. I can't feel like this forever. I feel trapped. I feel like I can't enjoy life. I'll never be able to experience new things because of my anxiety. It has made me feel completely hopeless, and it has isolated me from other people. I have cut myself off from a lot of people because of my anxiety, and that isn't good either. I also feel like another thing that helps with anxiety is having a connection with at least one person. I'm a person that creates really deep relationships with 1 or 2 people, and those are my people. Those are the people that I trust the most. They're the people that I can have deep conversations with, and people that will actively listen to me and help me when I'm going through a really difficult time. I want you to know that if you are experiencing anxiety, you are completely not alone. You have a kindred sister that has dealt with it and is dealing with it, and it is not lighthearted. There's nothing, you're not doing anything wrong. First off, you're not doing anything wrong. There's nothing wrong with you except for the fact that you have to deal with anxiety, but that is not you. It does not define you. It doesn't make people hate you. It doesn't mean that you're going to be trapped by it for the rest of your life. I promise there is a way out, and you will find it. But don't let anxiety stop you from living your life. Do your best to continue to push forward. The more that we push back at our anxiety, the more it backs away. That is one thing so important that I have learned, and this is through therapy. My therapist has really gone into discussing with me about my belief system. So all of us have inherent belief systems that we've had since we were little, whether that be by family, whether that be by an experience that's happened to us. We have this belief system that we've created, and that we that dictate how we live our lives and how we feel. So he's helped me dive into my certain belief systems and start to fight back at them. Or one of the belief systems I had is something has to be wrong. It's something that I have felt since I was little. In any situation, I feel panicky because something has to be wrong. And it kind of comes from my family too. My family was more anxiety ridden too, and overprotective, and that kind of, I love my family, but that kind of helped me develop that belief system more. But then also it was just natural life experiences that happened to me throughout my childhood, and then throughout my teenage years and then through adulthood, certain things happen that I really started to believe that something always has to be wrong. So what I've done is I start doing positive affirmations and start fighting that sentence back. And I say, something's always right in a situation. So I change that negative into a positive statement, and I have continually told myself this and continually practice at it. And whenever I hear that negative self-talk saying something's wrong, something's wrong, something's wrong, I start saying something's right, and it really helps me. And I know that sounds oversimplified and like that can't possibly work, but it does. If you've ever practiced doing positive self-affirmations, you will learn that they do work. They sound silly, they make you feel silly, they make you feel kind of crazy, but they work. So I really suggest maybe try doing some affirmations and seeing how it helps you. And don't expect it to make a huge difference in one day. I continually do this throughout weeks and months, and it's helped so much. I promise that there is light at the end of this dark tunnel of anxiety, and you will be okay, and you are not alone. And if you know somebody that's struggling with anxiety, please try to make them feel like they're not alone and make them feel loved and listened to and cared for. That's really my message for today. If you want more videos on anxiety, this is kind of a off the cuff, spur of the moment type of video, so I didn't really plan it out. I didn't have a lot of topics written down about anxiety. There's so much more that I can say about anxiety and so much more I can say about what I've done to cope with it. So if that's something you're interested in, please comment below. If you like this video, then please hit the subscribe button. And then if you like this video too, please hit the thumbs up button. And if you don't, then hit the thumbs down. And I will talk to you later. I can't wait for the next video. Bye.